We've all been there. You click on a link, and immediately a giant box blocks your screen. Accept cookies. It's an internet reflex at this point. We usually just click accept to make it go away, treating it like a digital mosquito we're swatting away so we can finally read the article. But to understand what you are actually agreeing to, we have to look back to the early 1990s. The internet had a major problem back then: digital amnesia. Websites had absolutely no memory. Every time you clicked a new page, even on the exact same website, the site treated you like a complete stranger who had just walked through the door for the very first time. Then a programmer named Lou Montulli invented a clever solution called the Internet Cookie. A cookie is simply a tiny text file that gets saved to your browser. Think of it as a digital name tag. When you log in, the website hands you this name tag, so when you click to the next page, the site instantly recognizes you. This original invention is what we call a first-party cookie. It operates completely in a closed loop, almost like a helpful clerk at your local grocery store. Because of this clerk's memory, you don't have to reintroduce yourself or empty your shopping cart every time you walk down a new aisle. In those early days, clicking accept cookies was entirely safe. It was simply a harmless technical requirement that allowed the internet to be convenient and functional for everyday use. But eventually, that helpful, innocent technology was hijacked and turned into something else entirely: the third-party cookie. Imagine going to a physical mall and looking at a pair of sneakers. Now imagine if the shoe store clerk picked up a phone, called the bookstore next door, and gave them a detailed description of exactly which sneakers you liked, just so the bookstore could try to sell them to you while you browsed for novels. In the physical world, we would call that stalking. On the internet, it happens constantly. You look at shoes on an e-commerce site, leave the store, and then 10 minutes later you're reading an article on the Times of India, and an advertisement for those exact same shoes appears in the margins. This happens because these websites are interconnected through embedded tools. When you visit a news page, you might see a small Facebook like button at the bottom of an article. Even if you never click it, embedded features like that quietly act as surveillance cameras, reporting your reading habits back to a central network. These third-party trackers transform your private browsing habits into a commodity that is constantly being bought and sold by companies you have never visited. The entities organizing this invisible tracking network are massive corporate middlemen. We're talking about vast ad networks operated by Google AdSense, Amazon Advertising, and Meta. These companies sit right between the websites you visit and the advertisers trying to reach you. In the milliseconds it takes for a web page to load, they use the detailed behavioral profile they've built on you to auction off the blank ad spaces on your screen to the highest bidder. The financial scale of this system is massive. In 2017, The Economist published a major report declaring that personal data had officially surpassed oil to become the most valuable resource on the planet. That tiny accept cookies button at the bottom of your screen is the legally binding gateway that permits these networks to extract that valuable resource directly from your daily habits. If they are tracking your shoe shopping so closely, it raises the question of what else is being recorded behind the scenes. Look at the case of Judith, a Tinder user living in Paris. Unhappy with how her profile was performing, Judith took advantage of strict European privacy laws. She sent continuous emails to the company, legally forcing them to send her every single piece of personal data they had collected on her. After just a short period of using the app, she received a physical return containing 800 pages of highly detailed personal data. The contents were deeply intimate. The data logs revealed exactly how many times a week she felt lonely and pinpointed the specific times of day she was most vulnerable to receiving and responding to messages. It recorded her exact physical locations, her specific musical tastes, and her underlying political leanings. They had built a profile that knew her habits better than she knew them herself. This mountain of information creates a digital profile that can map your vulnerabilities and predict your next move with unsettling accuracy. But there is an inherent danger in stockpiling all of this personal data in centralized servers. It turns these companies into massive, glowing targets for hackers and identity thieves. We see the fallout from this constantly. In 2021, a massive data breach occurred where the detailed records of 4.5 million Air India customers were stolen straight from their systems. And it is an industry-wide problem. Massive profiles built by everyday services like Big Basket, Ola, and Uber have been breached, with the stolen data getting packaged and sold on the dark web. Because these breaches are so common, it's worth checking your own exposure. You can visit a website called Have I Been Pwned to safely check if your email address or profile data has already been compromised in one of these leaks. The good news is that you still have agency. You can regularly clear your browser cookies, use privacy modes, and take a split second to think twice before blindly clicking the accept button. Understanding the invisible mechanics of the internet is the first step to taking your power back. To keep untangling how everyday technology actually works, make sure to subscribe to Refreshing Tech for more jargon-free insights.